Alright everybody, it is the following morning after I put this piece of wood here in my new 125 native tank, and you can see all the bubbles. That's from the hydrogen peroxide I put in there. I put almost an entire liter of hydrogen peroxide in there, and again we will get into that in the future and in an upcoming video. Today I actually want to talk about the draping and the cloth I have here on top, and I want to just talk a little bit about that because we're still in the process of putting this tank together from an aesthetic point of view before I really get down to digging into the insides of the tank. It's another rainy day, so we're going to be stuck here in the house. So let's have a look at some of what I'm talking about here. First of all, this purple draping is not what's going to stay on top of this tank. I just threw this up here. What this is it's going to be a skirt. You see how I have this little sort of piece of a skirt? I just kind of tacked that on there years ago when I first got this set up because I had some material left over, and I just put it on there as kind of something to do and never really planned on keeping it there. And you know, one thing leads to another, and here it is several years later, and I'm finally now getting around to having some material that we're going to cover that. So all of these filters and all those wires and all that stuff will be covered up. I'm going to have a nice purple skirt that hangs all the way down to the carpet there, and then it should go all the way to this end and maybe even wrap around the corner where you can see that green cloth is hanging in the back there for a moment. So that is, I think this is about 6.5 yards. A yard of fabric is 3 feet by whatever the width of it is, and we'll see that in a few minutes because we're going to actually look at this once we get it established. So I paid what did I pay? I paid $2.97 a yard for this fabric. So the skirt we're going to have here is going to be almost 4 yards, I think, total when it's done. So we paid just shy of $12 for this purple material, and that's going to be our skirt. This black cloth is 2 yards, and this is actually going to be what covers the top of the tank once I get this unfolded. You see that price on there? $4. So I paid $4 for the piece that is going to cover the tank, and again we'll see that in a moment. But this is also something I wanted you to have a look at. I covered the back of the tank with the material, and you can see, I guess you can see it hangs down to about there. It doesn't quite make it to the ground. There's a good look right there. You can see how low that hangs. So 3 feet long and that wide is 1 yard. So we wrap, this is a little more than 2 yards. We come around the back side of the tank, and then we've got 6 feet across here. And they only charged me for 2 yards. It was just a little bit left over on the roll, so they threw in that extra little 1.5 feet or so that wraps around for free. So 2 yards of that cost me $6. So I've got that backing on my tank for $6. This is how I attach it. I know that looks all high-tech and fancy, but that's it, everybody. That's how I attach that material. I use Scotch tape, and again you can't really see it, but I've just got the pieces of tape on the material here. Again on the corner, same way. I just literally tape a piece of cloth to the back of the tank and just let it hang there. You can see it every one of these places where I've got room, you know, to put the tape on here, and then on the corner again we've got it taped this way, and I also have a piece of tape coming around this way that you can't see because of the lighting. And that's it. That's just a piece of cloth that hangs there. I did tape it right here to just sort of secure it so it doesn't just flap in the breeze as I walk past. But that's it. It's just hanging behind the tank. There's nothing to it. You don't have to worry about painting anything on there. You don't have to worry about it being stuck there and you can't get it off. And then obviously with the tank all bubbled up like this, it makes it a lot harder to actually get an idea of what that backing in there looks like. So let me get to doing a little bit of work here. We'll get this moved around. We'll get this purple cloth hung up as a skirt. We'll get the black cloth dropped over top of it, and I'll get those bubbles out of there, and we'll get to see a good look at how that draping looks across the back. So I've got roughly $6 in the draping across the back of the tank. I have $4 in this piece of draping here, and what did I say? We have $12 in this piece here. So we're looking at about $22 or something like that, and that's going to give me my top cloth, my backing, and a skirt that covers this entire length for about 20 bucks. So when I first started keeping fish, I used to buy those rolls of plastic that you would stick to the back glass, And even to cover something small like a little 10-gallon tank would cost you $15. So for roughly the same amount of money, I'm going to be getting all of this done, and I'm going to be getting it all done with what I like a lot better than that cheap plastic stuff, which is this nice soft cloth material. So give me a few minutes, and then we'll be right back, and we'll see what this tank looks like with the black draped cloth and with the skirt, etc., etc. Alright, that's the tank with the black cloth on top. I use the purple to put draping here. Now you can probably tell it sort of furls under, and quite a bit of it is actually hanging down onto the floor. I've probably got 8-9 inches of it down touching the floor. I was wrong about the numbers though. This is actually 6 yards, not 4. And I had enough that I was able to come all the way around and wrap it around to there. Now I'm not 100% positive I like that. I may actually just cut the material here and then just put a separate skirt around here and then just stop at the corner. Again, whatever, that's easy enough to do. I can do that whenever I want. Here is something that I'd want to point out, not link, but little push pins. You see them? If I'll ever focus on it. That's all I use to attach this, is just these little push pins. I'm a firm believer that there's no point in doing something complicated and spending a lot of money when you can do it inexpensively and very simply. So as usual, I'm not trying to tell you how to do it. I'm trying to show you how I do it and to give you different ideas of what you can do. Just because I'm putting cloth on top of my tank doesn't mean that's the way to do it. And again, because I'm putting cloth on the back of my tank doesn't mean that's the way to do it. I know there's a lot of people out there that actually like to paint their tanks, or they like to see a scene of something behind one of their tanks or whatever, and that's fine. But if you want a really low budget, simple, easy to do solution, you can go to again, not trying to promote any particular store, but I just run up to the Wally World, and they've got a sewing department in their crafts area. That's where I get the batting for my filters, and then you can also buy bits of this material. Another thing I've done, since we're here, we may as well have a look at it. This tank, that backing is a temporary thing. I just threw back there, and I haven't messed with it ever since I put it together. What that actually is a piece of foam board that doesn't even fit. It sticks out by several inches. It's not attached in any way. It's only sitting between the filter and the tank, and that's the only thing holding it in place. And it doesn't even, I mean, it goes down below the tank. It's just kind of wedged under the filter. And that's it. That's all I've got as the backing to this tank. And unless I'd pointed it out to you, you probably would never have noticed. You'd have just assumed I had a blue backing in this tank. Again, that was never meant to be permanent, and it's just one of those things that just kind of ended up there. And maybe someday I'll take some of this purple cloth and hang it back there, or some black or blue, or who knows. As far as I'm concerned, it looks fine the way it is. I'm not too worried about it. This tank also has my purple behind it. I know with the lights on and everything, it's hard to see. You're seeing more glare than you are into the tank. And then of course I've got the black material up here that I use to cover all my tanks, and that's just because I don't like all the glare from the light shining up. You know, when you're shooting video and everything, that tends to be annoying. And when I've got the overhead light off, the light in the room is much softer when you don't have all of the glare from the tops of the tanks lighting up the room as well. You only get this sort of glow from the front of the tank, so it gives the room a nice softer appearance as well. So there's a little bit more behind the scenes and a little bit of my methodology and how I go about doing things and getting tanks set up. Again, hope I'm giving you some little helpful tips here, things you can do for your tank or whatever. Just be creative. You know, there's not necessarily one way of doing anything. Just do it the way that works for you and makes the tank look the way you like it. That's the important part, you know. So thanks for watching this one. I hope that was helpful to somebody. I hope that gave you some good inspiration in some way. If you're not subscribed already, please go ahead and do so. That way you won't miss anything. You never know what you're going to get with me. And with this tank, as you can tell, we've got lots and lots of stuff to do and plenty of video coming up. So again, this is my native tank, and this is my pet project we're working on right now. So thanks again for watching this one, and I'll see you real soon in the next one.